If you believe Donald Trump, there's absolutely nothing to the Epstein files. In fact, there may not even be files, or if there are files, it's all the fault of Hillary Clinton, Barack Hussein Obama, and crooked Hillary Clinton. Yet, he keeps doing things to call attention to the very thing he wants us to forget about. Worse than that, it seems at the moment that practically every agency in the federal government is being called upon to help him in the effort to bury whatever this story might be. And quite frankly, we don't know. So, not only is Donald going out there and lying and trying to distract us by blaming other people, Todd Blanche, a higher up at the Department of Justice, is going to be speaking with convicted felon and abettor of a notorious sex trafficker of women, young women and girls, Ghislaine Maxwell, to get to the truth. Do we seriously think that's what that conversation is going to be about? And then, of course, we had the release over the weekend of the Martin Luther King Jr. files, as if Donald thinks that that would be enough to sate the desire for the release of files. Sorry, Donald, but people want the Jeffrey Epstein files released. Or maybe it's to call attention to the fact that Martin Luther King Jr. was what used to be called a womanizer. And somehow that should make the rest of us not care about other prominent people's private lives. Of course, we are equating two completely, or Donald is equating two completely different things. Yeah, was Martin Luther King Jr. a womanizer? I think that's documented, but his relationships were consensual and, quite frankly, none of our business. And those files were a hitch up put together by Herbert Hoover's FBI to try to interfere with Martin Luther King Jr.'s ability to be as effective and powerful as he was. And then, of course, we have Donald today coming out and saying that his chief intelligence agent, I guess to whom he now listens, apparently, has proven, mind you, that Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama are guilty of treason. Really? That maybe would want some more details about that. And I'm sure there's more going on we don't yet know about, but in terms of this list, finally, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is essentially canceling the House of Representatives. He's shutting it all down a week before they were supposed to go to their August recess so that Republicans can avoid having to deal with this Jeffrey Epstein file debacle, which is entirely the fault of Donald Trump. So I think it is safe to say at this point, where we are right now, is that the entirety of the American government, every single agency that matters, is doing the bidding of Donald. The entire government is in the service currently of covering up whatever crimes or humiliations or horrors Donald allegedly committed. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this evening's edition of Mary Trump Live. It is great to be here with you. Okay, so we know this. Donald's latest buzzword, distraction or conspiracy theory, whatever you want to call it, it's probably all of the above, is none other than former President Barack Obama. Why? How You would think that someone who's been out of office for nearly a decade would be irrelevant to Donald by now. I mean, he's irrelevant to the rest of us for our day-to-day lives. I'm not saying he's irrelevant historically, but he's essentially a historical figure at this point. But with the pressure on Donald vis-a-vis the Epstein debacle mounting, he's scrambling desperately for a scapegoat that will stick. And that's where he once again landed on Barack Obama. At a press conference today with Philippine President Marcos, where trade was supposed to be the topic of conversation, Donald launched into a bizarre tirade accusing Obama of election interference and treason. Take a look.
It would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him. And Comey was there. And Clapper, the whole group was there. We caught Hillary Clinton. We caught Barack Hussein Obama. They're the ones, and then you have many, many people under them. Susan Rice, they're all there. The names are all there. You ought to take a look at that and stop talking about nonsense. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very severe consequences for that. But it's time to start, after what they did to me, and whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama. His orders are on the paper. The leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? He's guilty. It's not a question. I like to say, let's give it time. It's there. He's guilty. This was treason. President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill.
Oh, good. We got crooked Hillary. I was really hoping that we would get to hear that again. So yes, crooked Hillary, Sleepy Joe, Barack Hussein Obama. Oh, wait, he didn't mention Joe Biden. Wonder why. Oh, James Comer, has that one covered because apparently Biden signed stuff with an auto pen. So Donald's going to focus on Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. I have no idea what crimes he's talking about. And he thinks that what they did to him needs to be punished. But what did they do to him? He got into office in 2016 and he got reelected in 2024. So seriously? The attacks were so over the top that President Obama's office actually responded, which is not something that typically happens because, sometimes the best thing to do is ignore Donald entirely. Not this time. What did Obama have to say after Donald dragged his name through the mud for no sane reason? His spokesperson, Patrick Rodenbush, released the following statement, quote, out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this White House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes, unquote. Well, I have a different take on that entirely, but doesn't matter. It was in 2016, and again, Donald got into office, legitimately or not. Nothing can be done about it anymore, and nothing will be. Even if we found out that, yes, he willingly accepted Russian help and it did influence votes. Obviously, this is a distraction from Epstein. Everybody except Donald, apparently, the only person who keeps bringing it up, knows this. And finally, Obama is drawing a line in the sand, as he should, because why have respect for the office of the presidency if the man sitting in said office has no respect for the presidency? All that is at this point is license for Donald to keep getting away with things. So as Donald tries to distract from Epstein, nothing can distract from the fallout from his detrimental tariffs. We knew this was coming, of course. But more companies are now reporting serious losses tied directly to Donald's reckless tariffs. Even though many of his new tariffs haven't kicked in yet, car manufacturers that build in Canada, Mexico, and South Korea and then export to the US have already been hit with tariffs as high as 25%. The result is billions of dollars in lost profits, starting with General Motors. GM just announced that its second quarter profit dropped by more than a third, and they've already lost over $1 billion thanks to Donald's tariffs. And there's a direct line from the tariffs to those losses. It isn't just GM. Yesterday, Stellantis, which is the maker of Jeep, Chrysler, and Ram, said it lost 2.3 billion euro, which is approximately $2.7 billion in just the first half of the year, blaming tariffs it specifically and GOP economic policies in general. This is significant as eroding profits in the auto industry are hurting American workers and making it harder to compete with China. Again, we all knew this was coming. We all knew that this was going to backfire. And I hope it's time that American companies, American workers, and American voters stop buying the false narrative that the Republicans care about American business. They do not. Donald is basically driving industry out of the United States, even as he promised us that his completely misguided application of tariffs would make it more and more difficult to reintroduce manufacturing into this country. There's some good news today, which is something we always need to highlight. New Jersey judges just handed Donald a major loss, or a significant one anyway, blocking Alina Habba from becoming New Jersey's U.S. attorney. In a highly anticipated move, Chief Judge Renee Bum and her group of New Jersey judges chose to bypass Habba for the position and instead named her replacement. Donald appointed her back in March as the temporary U.S. attorney for New Jersey, but to stay in the role permanently, she needed the judge's approval, and that did not happen. According to the New York Times, Habba's short stint in the office, quote, shattered morale inside the U.S. Attorney's Office and left many prosecutors looking for a way out, according to 16 close observers, unquote. Wow, sounds exactly like somebody Donald hired would do. She also gave interviews right after her appointment saying that they could flip New Jersey red, despite the fact that the job she held is supposed to be bipartisan. But of course, there's no such thing if you're a Republican in this country anymore. This time, thankfully, the system worked. Habba is out, and Donald no longer has a loyalist in a key seat in a key state. That's how it's supposed to work. As I said, checks, balances, judges doing their jobs in a nonpartisan manner without fear or favor. If only it were working that way in other areas in the country. But we still have our work cut out for us, of course. The courts weren't the only place that Republicans were somewhat embarrassed today. Look, we all know that Donald's base isn't exactly prone to fact checking. In fact, I think it's safe to say that many of them are immune to facts if they contradict their leader's chosen narrative. But even by their standards, this is the kind of gullibility that is rather gobsmacking. The Hill reported today that a fake resignation letter from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell started circulating in MAGA circles, and they fell for it. Senator Mike Lee of Utah and right-wing personality Benny Johnson both share the obviously fake letter. By the way, think about that. An American senator and a right-wing personality are being spoken about in the same way, in the same sentence. That is, speaking of embarrassing. Anyway, they shared the fake letter, which claimed Powell would resign by the end of the day. Once they realized it was fake, they very quietly deleted their posts instead of, maybe letting people know that the posts were fake. Nope, they just got rid of them. To make matters worse and funnier, the letter featured a number of typos, and the Federal Reserve seal was illegible and appeared to be AI generated. All right. Mike Lee is horrible. He's one of the worst senators out there, of course. And at this point, I think it's, and I don't know. I don't want to be mean, exactly. But the people at the highest echelons of the Republican Party, like Senator Mike Lee, and like seriously, we have to talk about it in these terms because people like Betty Johnson, people like Charlie Kirk, people like Ben Shapiro, they have a massive amounts of power in the right wing media sphere. They're all idiots. And worse, they think everybody else is an idiot too. So, well, Republicans clearly need a lesson in media literacy and, cognitive thinking and sorry, not cognitive thinking, critical thinking. They continue to attack the media. Donald's war on the press escalated again today as he celebrated a $16 million settlement from Paramount, calling it a victory over fake news. Thanks, Paramount, you cowards. That wasn't Donald, that was me. Sorry. Should have made that more clear. Donald bragged about it on his failing social media platform and used the moment to threaten every major media outlet, writing, quote, "This is another in a long line of victories over the fake news media, who we are holding to account for their widespread fraud and deceit. The Wall Street Journal, the failing New York Times, the Washington Post, MSDNC, CNN, and all the other mainstream media liars are on notice that the days of them being allowed to deceive the American people are over, blah, blah, blah," unquote. In the Post, Donald went on to claim that the future owner of CBS will provide him with $20 million worth of advertising and programming just days after the network canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Colbert, of course, has been a vocal opponent of Donald's, calling Paramount's settlement against Donald a big fat bribe, which it was. Now it seems Colbert's previous employer is not just bending the knee to Donald, but rolling over just like its parent company. But Colbert is not done with Donald just yet. In a recent broadcast of his show, Colbert took the opportunity to address Donald's recent comments. Take a look.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings."
How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Works for me. Anyway, these settlements come in the wake of Donald and congressional Republicans voting to strip funding from public broadcasting, including sources like PBS and NPR, which are vital organizations, perhaps especially to areas which are mostly inhabited by Donald's base, rural areas, for example. But these organizations aren't backing down because they know how important the work is that they do. In fact, PBS put out a defiant yet hopeful message in the wake of increasing attacks on the media. Take a look.
Before we go, we want to take a moment to address some important news involving the NewsHour. As you likely know, Congress last week approved President Trump's request to rescind all federal funding for PBS and NPR. It's an unsettling moment for all who believe in the mission of trusted, independent journalism. But your voices, your advocacy, and your unwavering support remind us why this work matters.
There are undoubtedly challenges ahead for the entire PBS system, including our family of member stations across the nation, most critically, those who serve smaller and more rural communities. As for us at the NewsHour, we're not going anywhere, and we remain as committed as ever to bringing you the news, the analysis, and the stories that you've come to rely on over our nearly 5 decades on the air.
Your belief in the power of public broadcasting helps sustain our work, and your loyalty, especially now, fuels it. And we are profoundly grateful.
And we will continue our work as journalists without fear or favor. And that is the NewsHour for tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
That made me very proud. It also reminded me of a couple of things. That we are very lucky that there are people in this country who still believe in the power of journalism and who still have integrity. And also, it reminded me that money is a massive problem. Paramount, which owns CBS is a company worth, I don't know how many billions of dollars. And they just thought it was worth their while to throw away, literally light $16 million on fire so they could make more money, in the process weakening its ability to give the American people the facts they need to make the appropriate decisions down the line when it comes to how they want to be governed. PBS and NPR are comparatively very underfunded organizations. But here's the thing. Making money, the profit motive is not part of those organizations. They exist to do the work of informing the American people, not to sell out the American people so that they can make more money. And I think that's a big part of why we are where we are. And it is so, so important that even in this time where we're being pulled in a million different directions, and all sorts of agencies that deserve to be funded need more funding, we need to focus on protecting independent media like in NPR and PBS. Because again, they are vital to communities that don't have many other options. And by the way, PBS, at least starting in the, I think, late 60s, was a cornerstone of education for millions and millions of children in this country. And maybe that's the problem. Donald Trump and the fascist Republicans don't want our children to be taught anything, perhaps especially empathy, because they certainly don't have any. So, in the spirit of public broadcasting, that brings us to tonight's emotional support moment. For today's ESM, we wanted to stay with PBS and take a moment to spotlight the amazing work they do. Check out this TikTok video shared by PBS Kids of employees reading letters of support from fans. It is a reminder, yet another reminder, of why public broadcasting matters so much.
So we have just a sample of some of many, many messages, emails, letters, invitations that people have sent showing support and showing love.
Being a designer and animator here, I draw dog a lot. So this is really amazing.
Oh, it's a grad invite.
Hi, PBS Kids. I'm a 2025 graduate and wanted to take the time to thank you for making my childhood. I never had cable as a kid, but PBS Kids has always been there.
Shows like Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood,
Daniel Tiger, Arthur Wildcrafts, Cyber Chase, The Rough Ruffman Show, Martha Speaks, Curious George,
The Electric Company, and Super Y.
kept me going throughout the years, and I would not be here without you.
I hope to become a kindergarten teacher. Thank you for all you've done. You're like a teacher to me.
Oh, they had a birthday party and asked us to contribute rather than bring gifts. That's so wonderful.
Before I ever stepped into a college classroom, PBS was one of my earliest teachers.
I think that before I worked here and working here, I have always felt like I was a part of it.
That is a very specific public media thing, that it feels very communal.
Thank you
for sending these things in.
These are the viewers like you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for all of your letters.
I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your art and your letters and your kind words.
And that is why those people do that work, not to get rich. In fact, I imagine some of them barely get by on the salaries they're paid. It's to make a connection with our children and to make their lives better. Again, something that today's incarnation of Republicans don't care about, but we do. So please, let's keep supporting organizations like PBS. All right. I'm still a little sleepy, but I am on the mend, hopefully, and still having this weird scrolling issue. So just give me a second. Okay, there we go. Michelle, thank you so much for becoming a new member. It's wonderful to have you. Greg, comment, RIP Ozzy. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Ozzy Osbourne died today. So to all of his many, many fans, my sincerest condolences. Dorothy, super sticker, thank you so much as always. Minda Cheryl, thank you very much. 1 Mary Trump Media membership gifted. Awesome. And the inevitable, almost inevitable follow-up, Minda Cheryl, thank you so much. This is we all need to get sufficient sleep fee. Yes, we do. The problem is I don't quite know if there is enough sleep yet in the world. I don't think I could sleep 24 hours. Well, I probably could. I don't think I should sleep 24 hours a day. It would interfere with other things. Regina, thank you so very much for that. Oh, it's an I was late fee. That's okay. You can be late, but we appreciate the fee. That's for sure. Mary, thank you so much. Comment, apologies to Canada for Donald calling you nasty. You're a beautiful country with very nice people. Elbows up indeed, Canada. And you know what? Nobody cares what Donald says, right? We know Canada's awesome, and we know he's just jealous of you because you're prettier and cooler. Rose Blue, thank you so much for that. Comment, GMAX got a subpoena from Congress. Now we wait until September. Yep, that's Ghislaine Maxwell, got a subpoena from Congress. But, obviously they're on early recess, and I'm guessing that the DOJ is going to muck things up to the whatever extent it can. Ethan gifted 5 Airdrop Media memberships. Thank you so very much. That's fantastic. Thanks. Speaking of Canada, Canada is in the house. Thank you, Kelly. Wait, what just happened? Oh, I see. Sorry. And Kelly, again, gifted 5 Airdrop Media memberships. That's phenomenal. Thank you. Susan, moderator extraordinaire, gifted 5 Meritrump Media memberships again. Thank you, Susan. Lisa, thank you very much, Lisa. That's great. Comment, I don't think that Rupert and Lachlan Murdoch are backing down. No, I don't think they are either. And I think for a couple of reasons. One, they don't have to. Donald can sue them for $100 trillion. It's not going to matter that he doesn't have a case. And they have literally no reason to capitulate. Pretty sure Rupert Murdoch has much, much, much more money than Donald does or ever would. Also, we have to consider the possibility that they have come to the conclusion that Donald is past his sell-by date, and they want to position themselves for a future beyond him. It's my theory, anyway. Otherwise, why go there? Pood is a member for 2 months. Thanks so much for that. Comment. Thank you, Mary, your staff, and the members. You make life fun again. Oh, awesome. You all who comment are so helpful to me. Thank you to all thank you to all from my heart, Pood. Well, that's wonderful to hear. And I agree with you about the staff and all of our members here. We have the best team, and I think we have the best community. So we're very grateful to have you be part of it. And put a super sticker. Thank you for that as well. Fantastic. Stephanie, another Canadian in the house. Thank you very much. Comment, Mary, I haven't been able to catch a live for a few months. Glad to be back. Here's my re-entry free. Cool. Yes, I hope that re-entry went smoothly and you didn't get the bends or whatever those things are called. But it's great to have you back. And it's great for me to be back. This is only my second live back over the last week or so. I'm happy to be back as well. I didn't pay a re-entry fee, though, so I'm going to have to check and see if I need to. Whisper, Comment, we need to defund Fox and Friends, Newsmax, and OAN, unplug from all platforms that you pay for that carry them, start funding independent media that believes in truth and journalism. Yeah, I completely agree. This is something that's always infuriated me. If you have a basic cable package, Fox is included. So every time somebody signs up for cable, Fox gets paid. And I don't want to support Fox. They should make it optional. It's very, very frustrating. So I do think that the answer is to turn to independent media, because we're not beholden to anybody, except our viewers, and our responsibility to our viewers isn't to, sell out the truth to appease the board. No, it's to tell the truth so that people understand what's going on in the world and understand why it matters and give context. So yeah, I'm with you all the way. Tracks and relax. Comment, my $12.99 Paramount Plus subscription money is now going to support PBS. Awesome. I love that. And for those of us who weren't here, we had a conversation about what to do about if you're a Star Trek fan, because Paramount owns all of the Star Trek properties, all the movies, all the TV series. And that's very frustrating if you don't want to give Paramount $12.99 every month. So one solution that I thought of, I'm pretty sure other people thought of it too, is buy the DVDs. But somebody came up with an even better one. Get the DVDs from your library. Because if you buy the DVDs, that's still putting money in Paramount's pocket, but it's only one time, not $12.99 a month. If you take the DVDs out from the library, you're not giving them anything. So, and also it's a great way to support your library. Everybody should be going to the library. Champagne Hand, comment, conservatives hate education, critical thinking, unbiased reporting, and want the rural communities in the dark. The cons go after the CBC in Canada too. Yeah, that is, what is it? An educated electorate is exactly the opposite of what Republicans want, because educated voters typically, generally speaking, don't support Republicans. Educated voters, people who actually really know what's going on in the world and what Republicans are doing, don't support them. So yeah, of course they want us all ignorant and stupid. Jenny, thank you so much. That's fantastic. Comment, support independent journalism like Mary's and those who don't bend the knee. Absolutely. Yeah, you know what? We should not be rewarding any person or outlet that is willing to pull punches or kiss the ring, bend the knee, or roll over. Those days have to be over. And that's up to us. We drive this stuff. Ratings matter. So if we stop watching corporate sponsored media, then that's the way to send the message. I mean, I know that it's not like we're going to impoverish Jeff Bezos by unsubscribing from the Washington Post, but something like the Washington Post lost at least 10% of its subscribership when Bezos would not allow that paper to endorse Kamala Harris in the lead up to the 2024 election. And I think it permanently changed the perception of the Washington Post. It is no longer considered one of the great papers in this country because it no longer is. And that matters. It really does. So thank you again, Jenny Lynn. DM, comment, mocking Donald openly often makes me wonder what he's going to watch other than Vox. No kidding. I don't think he can watch anything. You know what? He probably just watches like videos of his sycophants. You know what? He rewatches over and over again, like all of his so-called cabinet meetings, where all they do is go around the table and talk about how much they love him and how great and magnificent and sparkly he is. I think that's probably how he spends most of his time. It's the saddest flipping thing. Oh, and I don't know if you guys heard this, but according to Howard Lutnick, who's I don't remember specifically, I apologize. Anyway, he's in the administration. Apparently, he and Donald speak every night right before Donald goes to bed, and which is just the most pathetic thing. It's just pathetic that a grown man would admit to that or do that, actually. But he's a Secretary of Commerce, and he's deeply unintelligent person and vile. But I'm pretty sure Donald picked Howard because Howard is like so unbearably sycophantic that it's probably all just whispering sweet nothings into Donald's ears right before he goes sleepy. That's my guess. Poor little guy. Magnificent Lies, thank you so very much as always. Comment, I wonder how many of the same senators and congressmen who learned democracy from Schoolhouse Rock are now the ones turning against it. Yeah, no kidding. I learned so much from Schoolhouse Rock and the grammar one. I don't know if it's called. Well, there were two different kinds. Schoolhouse Rock had grammar songs. Like that's how you learn about conjunctions and how they function, for example. And then they had the government one, I think the most famous one is the one about how a bill becomes a law, but they had ones about the Constitution. It's just the most amazing things ever. And yeah, many of these people grew up watching those things and are betraying that knowledge on a daily basis. It's just quite something. Susan, again, thank you, Susan. Comment, thank you to this awesome Mary Trump Media community for your support of Mary Trump Media. And thank you, Susan, for being such an integral part of it. We so appreciate it. Jennifer, thank you so very much. Comment, thank you again for your news. We'll contribute frequently. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but thank you very much, Jennifer. That's great. And we appreciate that as well. Dale, thank you. That's awesome. Pam, thank you very much. Oh, it's a late fee. We're pretty what's the word? Flexible when it comes to tardiness, but thank you. Elaine, a super sticker. Thanks so very much, Elaine. From my Substack, The Good in Us. This is a comment from Funny Philly Girl. It won't work. JD can't hold the base. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not really worried about JD Vance so much as the people who back him, who prop him up. And I'm worried about the ways in which they're trying to pre-rig the and again, I mean, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. There will be elections in 2026. The question is, how much more are they going to try to tilt the playing field in their favor? So it's less about worrying who the successor is going to be. It's about worrying that the conditions are going to be such that it won't matter. But I'm with you. JD Vance is not. He has no charisma. He's just a thug and a bully, and he has no core self at all, which kind of sounds like Donald, doesn't it? But Donald does have charisma. That is the thing that's so depressing. Being Nancy, thank you as always. Oh, a Paxlovid fee. I hope that's my Paxlovid fee and not yours, because if it's yours, then that means you have COVID, and I sincerely hope you do not have COVID. But thank you. And if you do, please feel better and rest as much as humanly possible, because I think that's the only way through it. Zella, thank you as always. Comment, Mexicans and Canadians are Americans, just like United States citizens. We are friends and we all hate Donald. Yeah, I think we are united by many things, but our hatred of him for sure, because boy, does he deserve it. Terry, super sticker. Thank you so much, Terry. Jenna, let's fucking go, Mets. Seriously, come on. Thank you for that, Jenna, as always. Question, does Letnick read him a story before bedtime? Reading Rainbow. Yeah, I'm guessing that if he does, it's probably just positive stories about him in the New York Post or something. Well, sorry, not the New York Post, because Rupert Murdoch owns that. Let's see, Newsmax.com or something. All right. Because it wouldn't be Fox either. And where's your aloha? Thank you as always. Question, what is Donald's true Achilles heel? Thank you, Mary. Well, it is humiliation. The man, like the terror he's experiencing right now suggests to me, I mean, I'm not saying that there's some potential criminality there too. I actually think that the thing he's most terrified of is there's some information that will be so humiliating to him, it will annihilate him. I'm not kidding. Like he's so desperately terrified of being humiliated, being seen as a loser. And I cannot explain, like he's embraced his criminality at every other turn. He has run on it. Like he has raised money off of it. One of his official campaign images, was his mugshot, for Christ's sakes. So the idea that he's freaking out to this degree in this way because he might be implicated in some crime. Again, I'm not saying he won't be or couldn't be, but it's got to be something else as well. So humiliation, which is why we must mock him at every turn. All right, that does it for us. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thanks to everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, The Good in Us, and everybody listening to the podcast. Excuse me. To all of our new members, to everybody gifting memberships, to all of our super stickers and people giving us gifts. We are grateful beyond expression. You keep us going, and we really appreciate it. To our amazing moderators, who do not easy work just because they care. That matters tremendously to us as well. Just quickly before we go, I want to remind you that the easiest way to support us is just subscribe to the channel. It does not cost anything. And we are this close to being at 440,000 subscribers. So our goal is, our next goal, I should say, is 500,000. So let's get there. The second easiest way is to watch our pre-recorded videos, which drop every single day, 7 days a week. Watch them, like them, share them, comment on them. That helps us tremendously. And we also have paid memberships that you can check out on our YouTube homepage. Speaking of which, at one tier, we have a monthly banned book club. And this month it's meeting on July 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern. And the book we will be discussing is Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye. So if you would be interested in joining us for that, check that out, because it's a phenomenal group of people. And The Bluest Eye, well, it's Toni Morrison. So it's incredible. Okay. Also, to my extraordinary team, I feel like I need to get more creative in with the adjectives I use to describe them. But they're just amazing people, and I hope you guys understand that the extent to which that is the case, and show them love, because they deserve it, especially in these crazy, crazy, stressful times. So thanks, guys, for everything. I will be back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe, get a lot of sleep, and be kind.